As I seem to have the attention span of a toddler, I rarely see games through to the end, let alone replay them. So it's quite telling that I've played through The Last of Us 5 times. And surprisingly, it hasn't really lost a lot of steam since I first played and loved it around 5 years ago, despite some inevitable gameplay inconsistencies. You see, the thing with these enemies is that they see with sound, so you have to be whisper quiet in order to... Thank you, Bill. But I think most people can agree this is a damn good game, hence why I'm not exactly the first person in the world to drool over it in a YouTube video. Regardless, I just want to play and talk about this thing that I love instead of obliterating my hard drive with another 50 gig Warzone update. Anyway, in order to illustrate why I have such an affection towards this piece of entertainment, I'm going to talk about my favourite scene in it and my favourite moment within that scene. And I'm sure there's lots of people wondering just what is my favourite moment in The Last of Us.
No, there aren't.
Well, I'll reveal this after these honourable mentions receive their due.
Right, fine, I don't give a shit. Go for it, dude.
The famous tear-inducing opening still fucking gets me somehow. It's pretty interesting to find out that originally you were going to play as Joel the whole time, but they decided that having you play as Sarah to begin with would make the moment where she's shot to pieces way more effective. And they were correct. It hits hard.
Oh God, no!
This is my favourite cutscene. On a first playthrough, it's sad enough to see a young kid slowly losing hope that there's any good left in the world he's living in. But by the end, it's revealed that he's infected and knows he's going to die. So the second time round, it's now a young kid essentially desperate for someone to tell him that everything's going to be okay. But the young girl he's talking to doesn't get what he's really asking, so he gets the brutally honest answer that everything's fucked and hopeless and terrible for everyone. Then he gets shot by his brother, who then shoots himself. This is a very feel-good game. I'm using this one to shout out Gustavo Santaolalla and his freaking epic music. When all the sound bar the music dissipates when she starts crying and Joel's consoling her, just rips your beating heart out of your chest and smears it in your stupid face. I mean, this one's been mentioned a lot, but you can't deny how well it's done. The most impressive part being the level design and how the moment naturally unfolds through gameplay, seeing obscured views of the giraffe before the final big reveal that can make a grown man weep. It also works really well as a sort of final breath before the climax of the game. Like most people, I was originally annoyed that they didn't give you the choice as a player to let the fireflies do their thing, in which case you would have had it just flash up on the screen, good ending or bad ending, so you can save the whole world and it goes back to normal in a flash. Yeah, would have made it way better. Joel was never conflicted on whether he would save Ellie, so the fact that you're not given the choice reflects that. He doesn't hesitate in the slightest to lie to Ellie's face in the end about what really happened, and if he has to kill dozens of people just so he doesn't lose another child, he's gonna do it. So after all these I've mentioned, what could possibly be my favourite?
Nobody cares!
Well, you may be surprised to find out that it happens here, at the beginning of Pittsburgh, a section I haven't really seen a lot of people give the credit it deserves. So let's run through it and entirely overanalyze it.
God, no!
At this point in the game, Joel and Ellie are in a truck they got from Billstown and are on their way to find Tommy and Jackson, who they believe will know where the fireflies are so they can find them and help them develop a cure to save the world. Joel then makes the questionable decision to cut through town when he realizes the road bypassing it is blocked. Then this happens.
Easy!
Please!
Holy shit.
Help!
Are we gonna help him?
Put your seatbelt on, Ellie.
Well, what about the guy?
He ain't even hurt.
Nice one, Joel. First off, I love where this happens in the story. This is directly after leaving Billstown, where you exclusively fought infected, and that was a pretty lengthy section. Made even longer if you're playing on Grounded and Bill gets plus signed every 5 fucking seconds. Contrasting structure for gameplay and story sections like this is seen all over the game. It keeps the game consistently interesting and is just bloody good game design. In addition, just before the crash itself, it seems Joel knows that the wounded man is a trick a bit too quickly. It's not that overt, but it's enough to raise an eyebrow. Continuing on, the attack means you crash into the front of a store and 2 horrible men come to finish you off. It's pretty clear that said horrible men have lost any shred of humanity, as they're more than willing to kill a child and give an innocent man a gruesome death. Consequently, mashing square to stop Joel getting his throat slit, then sprinting over to save Ellie and caving the other guy's head in before he kills her is a very satisfying moment of player agency. You're then greeted by the rest of this band of misfits in a stealth arena, and it's incredibly gratifying to kill these abhorrent beings using various stealth and combat tactics that the game encourages you to exhibit.
Let's do this!
It's also a great choice to include a second wave of guys when you think you've almost killed everyone. The surprise increase in challenge makes it feel more rewarding when you finally complete it. Kind of like bosses having surprise multiple phases in FromSoft games. I'm looking at you, Genichiro. Once you're done here, you discover more about the hunter's deeds.
Look.
Fucking hunters. See, this could have been us.
Man, that is a lot of people that didn't make it.
You can find a collectible, which is a list of supplies gathered from so-called tourists by date, implying that they've been doing this for long enough to have a system for it. So you continue on as the hero in a quest to save mankind, doing everything possible to keep this girl safe and...
How did you know
Know what?
about the ambush?
I've been on both sides.
Oh. So, you kill a lot of innocent people? We'll take that as a yes.
Take it however you want.
Well, okay then. The game has truly done everything in its power to vilify this group of irredeemable murderers and make it feel gratifying to kill them because of this. Then suddenly it turns around and says Joel, the guy you're playing as and have come to care for, used to do the exact same thing. As well as giving the enemies you're fighting way more depth, it puts everything in perspective and adds a different viewpoint in future playthroughs. This is how we instantly knew the wounded man was a setup, because he most likely used to use the same tactic. And imagining him being amongst these dudes just slaughtering people is pretty terrifying. This unseen time is further referenced by Tommy, as he basically says the two of them might have been better off dying rather than doing what they did to survive. Kind of puts me off the idea of a Joel and Tommy prequel that people have suggested. Now, this theme of survival of the fittest and the people are the real villains isn't exactly new, even for 2013. The Walking Dead before and since then has really run it into the ground. But The Last of Us achieves what so many pieces of media try and fail to do, and maybe even forget about in this moment: saying more with less. Studios are boasting about more and more hours being added onto their story games, and the negativity towards shorter, more quality games remains steadfast.
It's less than 5 hours long!
And what we have here is a modest length, single player experience that earns every moment, hence the replayability. And it uses the advantages of there being an active participant controlling the main character at every opportunity possible, to the point where it crafts a significant moment of world building and establishes the theme of everyone is just trying to survive, so who the villains are is based on perspective, with a single line of dialogue. That's some good writing, that's some good storytelling, and that's some good game design. So therefore, the overall point of this is, The Last of Us is great and I enjoy talking about it. Yeah, honestly, after beating the sequel, I just had the urge to go back to it, and after replaying it again, I had so much to think and speak about even after all this time. And if you're tired of people blowing smoke up this game's arse, then I'd like to apologise for absolutely nothing. Thank you, Naughty Dog, for bringing me this much entertainment for this length of time. I'm looking forward to see what you do next. Now I'm gonna go and play some more of this masterpiece.